Hey guys, this is Tirelis here with another Warlords of Draenor beta video. I'm going to be looking at the first of the healing specs in Discipline Priest. I'm going to be looking at their major changes, their changed and removed abilities, their new and changed glyphs, their new Draenor perks, and then finally their new and changed talents. Before we get started, I would like you to take a look. I am using the dwarf model here. The new dwarf model looks really nice. And I am wearing the first season of PvP gear for Priest. It looks pretty nice. Nice little purple glow on the shoulders. But this is your first set of gear for Warlords PvP. So getting into the changes, first change is that Atonement has been toned down. It was considered too powerful and too effective. So the healing component has been reduced. You will no longer heal as much for the damage that you do. Know that in a situation in which you were able to like smite spam and just heal based on that, you might not be able to do that anymore. So you need to be careful with Atonement. Test it out and see its limitations, but it has been nerfed. It's not as powerful as it was before. Second major change comes in the form of level 90 talents. There are two changes here. The first of which is that they were considered too powerful in conjunction with Divine Aegis. So the level 90 talents now follow standard AoE capping rules, so you will not be able to blanket the raid in, Discipline Absorbs. You will not be able to, just power, Halo absorbs everywhere. No, that's not going to be the case. The second change is the fact that the level 90 talents now have a cast time, and so does Prayer of Mending. I'm very irritated that Prayer of Mending has a cast time. It's one of my favorite spells ever, and now it has a cast time. The reason for this was that Blizzard wanted to reduce healer mobility. They did not like how mobile healers were in Mists of Pandaria at all, and it was kind of ridiculous that a healer was able to just continually, run and heal and really not have to worry about, casting at all. And so this is what they did to counteract that, is they gave a lot of classes, they transformed several of their abilities from instant cast to cast times. So that is the nerf to Priest as a whole to their cast time abilities and their mobility. Holy Nova is no longer a major glyph, and it is instead a disc baseline ability. Blizzard needed to fill the role of a mana-efficient AoE heal. They have their mana-inefficient, or rather their healing throughput spell in Prayer of Healing, but they needed a mana-efficient heal, AoE heal, and that comes in the form of Holy Nova. So if you want to keep your mana bar up and still be able to heal, you're going to want to be up close and personal with Holy Nova. Just know that. So, the last major change that you need to know about Discipline Priest is that they consolidated a lot of abilities and removed a lot of abilities, specifically dealing with returns to mana. The returns to mana for Discipline Priest were very confusing and very complex. This passive return mana here, this passive return mana here. Difficult to balance for, and it was just kind of unnecessary. So as we go through changed abilities and removed abilities, you're going to see a lot of things, removed or changed, and, that was done to consolidate, the mana returns for the spec. And don't worry, they've been somewhat baked into the to the abilities specifically, but you don't have to worry about the, like Rapture or Inner Focus, that confusing mana returns. Mana returns are now just, baseline. There may be one or two, but for the most part, their mana returns are more manageable, let's just say. So that leads us into the changed abilities for Disc Priest. The first of which is Evangelism, and that is now disc only. It's, when you deal damage with Smite or with Holy Fire, you gain that stack of Evangelism. The thing now is that it is consumed by Archangel to increased healing done. It no longer increases damage done. So I'm up to 5 stacks, and it just says consumes by Archangel spell to increase healing done. So nothing special with Evangelism right now. When I consume Archangel, I have 5 stacks, healing increased by 25%. So, It's kind of analogous to Beastmaster Focus Fire type of thing. That's how it's going to be working from now on. So that is a change to Evangelism, and I guess you could say to Archangel as well. Focused Will, whenever you take damage now, you will gain a Focused Will stat that reduces damage. Before it was like you had to take like 5% or more damage. Now it's just straight whenever you take any damage. So that's a nice buff. It's going to counteract an ability that you lose, but overall I think it'll be it will be a buff as a whole instead of losing something or just breaking even. Pain suppression no longer reduces threat, so you should know that small little change there. Rapture has been gutted to the ground. It lost all of its mana regenerating abilities. And now the, 1 second cooldown or the GCD cooldown for Power Word Shield is now just baked directly into Power Word Shield. So, very simple. Holy Fire now lasts 9 seconds instead of 7, small change there. And then lastly, Shadow Fiend no longer regenerates mana. Blizzard really wants you to pay attention to your mana bar if you are a healer. You have to make sure that you choose between your mana throughput spell, or your healing throughput spells, and your mana efficient spells. You have to use them wisely. You are going to have no bailouts unless you have a mana potion. That is it. That is the only thing that will bail you out. Innervate's gone. All of the mana regenerating abilities are gone, save for one, which we will talk about in a little bit. There are several removed abilities for Disciplined Priest. The first is Inner Focus. All of it has been gutted, gone. Most of it dealt with mana costs, but you also lose the immunity to Silence, Interrupt, and Dispel effects. Grace was gutted, and then all that was left was healing. They baked it in, so Grace is now out of the game. Strength of Soul, which reduce the duration of weakened soul debuff on the target, has been removed. Train of Thought has been removed. That dealt with Inner Focus, but it also was the reduction of cooldown of Penance. That has now been removed. Divine Focus has been removed. That was your pushback suffered from damaging attacks to be reduced. That's gone. Hymn of Hope has been removed. That was your mana regenerating ability. Same thing with Shadow Fiend. Anything that reduced mana has been removed from the game. Inner Fire and Inner Will have been removed. I'm okay with this because I personally didn't really like in a battleground setting having to tie my shoes, put my shoes on every time I left the graveyard, and that's what it felt with the self buffs. Pretty much all self buffs have been removed from the game, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Know that Binding Heal and Renew are now wholly only. You do not have access to them anymore. And I really kind of like this change. Shadow Word Death is now shadow only. I like that change only because I have a disc friend that likes to steal all of my killing blows in a battleground, and it was very irritating, and he can no longer do that. The last major removal is Heal. Now, it may be confusing if you look in notes and whatnot. It says, oh, well, Heal's still there. Well, it is, and you can see right here in the bottom right-hand corner, I'm over Heal. But it now has the icon of Greater Heal. It casts like Greater Heal. If I can, well, let me target myself, excuse me. You can see the animation for Greater Heal. And they changed that because they're removing the 3-tier system that they implemented in Cataclysm. They're removing you have the short, powerful, mana inefficient heal. You have the long cast time, mana efficient heal that does nothing. And then you have the really powerful spell. That's not the case anymore. You now have one mana efficient heal and one healing throughput spell. Your healing throughput spell for a single target is going to be Flash Heal. That is what you're going to be using if you want to, get someone up really quickly. If you want to, conserve your mana and be conscious of your mana, you're going to want to be using Heal, or you'll be using Penance, or you will be most likely using Power Word Shield. So those are your mana inefficient, your mana efficient spells. Power Word Shield's kind of in between, but that's also because it's instant cast. Unlike Penance, where you have to wait for the full effect to go through, or Heal that you actually have to cast. So, major change there, really welcome change there. The removal of heal does nothing but good for the entire game because it really brings back spec identity. Disc can now be the bubble class that they originally once were, and they lost with the changing Cataclysm. There are several new glyphs regarding Discipline Priest. The first of these is Glyph of the Inquisitor. Your Holy Fire deals 25% additional initial damage, but 20% of that damage is also dealt back to you. There is Glyph of Restored Faith, which Leap of Faith pulls you to the target instead of pulling the target to you. It is exclusive with Leap of Faith, so you can only have one or another. Glyph of Restored Faith is like your intervene for priests. There's Glyph of Shadow Magic, which for 5 seconds after activating Fade, you are immune to silence and interrupt effects, but the cooldown of Fade is increased by 60 seconds. So that is kind of your, compensation for inner focus being removed from the game. There is Glyph of Purification. This is the last one. And that is, Purify now has a maximum of 2 charges, but its cooldown is increased by 4 seconds. I really like the 2 charge system. If you can ever, get that, grab it, because it allows you a lot of flexibility that you would normally have. And normally the increased cooldown is something that you can deal with to get those 2 charges. Notice that something like Binding Heal is now holy only. Any of the glyphs that were tied to spells that are no longer in your toolkit have been removed from you, obviously, so just so you know that. That leaves us with the Draenor perks for Discipline Priests. If I were to, go here, we can take a look at the 4 of them. The first of these is Empowered Archangel. The next Prayer of Healing you cast after activating Archangel has a 100% increased critical strike chance. So, I guess if you really wanted to, get a really powerful, Prayer of Healing off, you could shoot off a Smite real quickly, and then pop Archangel at 1 stack, and then get a Prayer of Healing 100% crit chance. Just know that it's there, and it's every time you activate Archangel. There's an Enhanced Focus Will. Each application of Focus Will also increases your damage dealt by 5%, so not only will you be, have damage reduced, but you will be dealing more damage. There's Enhanced Leap of Faith, which your Leap of Faith also increases your next non-periodic heal cast on that target by 50% for 10 seconds. And then lastly, there is Enhanced Power Word Shield. This is the best one. Reduces the duration of your weakened soul caused by your Power Word Shield by 5 seconds. This kind of compensates for the loss of Strength of Soul. And, with the glyph, this puts your weakened soul debuff down to, I believe, 8 seconds, if I'm correct. So, that's really a nice one there that I think priests are going to enjoy. Just priests. Finally, we are at the talent tree. There are several changes here, so we'll go from top to bottom. First, you'll notice that the 15 tier has been switched with the 60 tier. Blizzard wanted more interaction with priest abilities earlier in the player life cycle, so they've just switched the tiers. Angelic Feather now only increases max speed by 60% instead of 80%. Mindbender does return mana. It was reduced a bunch. It was like halved or more how much mana it returns. I don't know if this will stay, because if this becomes like a mandatory glyph for Holy and Disc to take, then, not glyph, talent, there's no way that it's going to stay. That they will get rid of it and they will just make it a straight DPS buff. On the 60 tier, know that Void Tendrils now breaks like Entangling Roots, so if it takes some damage, you can break Void Tendrils now. Yes, Psychic Scream is now in the talent tree. It is no longer a baseline ability, and it had its cooldown increased by 15 seconds. So it's now a 45-second cooldown, and it's in the talent tree. Psyfeed was removed, so I know that's kind of a big disappointment. So that's a big PvP nerf right there. You're going to have to actually spec into Psychic Scream. Dominate Mind. Know that Dominate Mind shares diminishing returns with anything dealing with Mesmerize effects. So, example would be a Warlock Succubus's Seduction. That is a mesmerize effect, and that will share diminishing returns with Dominant Mind. That's just Blizzard's way of reducing the amount of diminishing returns in the game. The 75 tier, know that Twist of Fate no longer activates after dealing damage to a target below 35%. It's only after healing a target below 35% do you get the 15% increased damage and healing for 10 seconds. Know that Power Infusion no longer has an increased damage portion to the talent. No, and then lastly, Spirit Shell has replaced the Divine Insight for Disc. It is just going to be in the talent tree here as a level 75 talent. One thing I did not mention on the level 90 tier is that your damage component of Halo in Cascade and Divine Star is gone. It is only healing for the healing specs and only damage for the damaging specs. So as you can see, it completely passed that killable damage dummy, so you cannot use it. That leaves us with the last tier, which is the level 100 talents, the brand new talents. The first of which is Clarity of Will, which shields the target with a protective ward absorbing 40,000 damage within 20 seconds. So we'll go ahead and use this here. I have myself targeted. Nice spell visual. It's pretty cool. Actually, nice sound effect too. So that is the spell visual. You can see that and Power Word Shield on me. I have both my bubbles on me. So now you can really bubble people all over the place, you know, just by, with the 3 bubbles that you have. And then if you grab Spirit Shell, now I have 3 bubbles on me. If you grab Spirit Shell, you've got, you know, something else to help out as well. But, definitely, really cool talent. I think it'll be taken for both PvP and PvE. Something to look at. It does have a cast time, but it is something that's pretty powerful. Words of Mending. Your healing and shielding spells grant you a stack of Word of Mending. And when you gain 10 stacks of Word of Mending, your next targeted healing or shielding spell also casts a Prayer of Mending at them. So I'm stacking up these stacks here. I'm going to switch this target so you can actually see the Prayer of Mending shoot out. 9 stacks, 10, and here we go. Fires across. So honestly, I don't see this being used in PvP at all. This is something that's going to be a PvE only talent. With the 10 stacks, I just don't see it being used in PvP. The last talent here is Saving Grace, which instantly heals a friendly target for 60,000, reducing your absorbs and healing done by 10% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 10 size. This is strictly an uh-oh button. So if you find yourself about to die, this is what you use. You know, because you'll start healing yourself for less and less. So I use it once. And as you can see in the top right corner, I'm starting to get debuffs. And as you can see, the numbers, minus the crits, are going down consecutively. And then when I reach 10 stacks here, you're going to see I'm going to be healing for nothing. 697, 700. So it's strictly an uh-oh button. You know, you can cast 3 or 4 of them off at the same time until your friend gets out of the way, and then you gotta stop casting them or else you're going to be in trouble. This is definitely something that I think will be more of a PvP talent, and then Words of Mending will be more the PvE talent, and then Clarity will be kind of looked at for both. But those are the level 100 talents for Discipline Priest. I hope you guys liked the changes to Discipline Priest. They definitely got kind of nerfs, but I think they will be okay. They will survive. So, hope you enjoyed everything here. I will see you guys in the next video. Tirelis out.